Yeah, obviously I usually set up here and recap a outcome of the Michigan game, and obviously with the court's hearing yesterday. I'll start with that. I think it's the court's decided that Terrence Shannon gets back full status immediately, and as we had a very, very late arrival back from Michigan, roughly 2 a.m. That pushed our practices back yesterday, and when Josh informed me of that decision, that he was reinstated, we had a late 4 o'clock practice, and Terrence was available for that practice. So it was not a heavy intense practice in terms of that. We had some guys log some major minutes. We are going to go today. So obviously Terrence has been gone for 6 games. He's been gone for 3 weeks. And there's an integration process that takes place there. He has been away from the team in terms of team workouts. He was allowed to take part in individual workouts, continuous conditioning, continue lifting and doing those sort of things with Fletch, which was will help him. But there's obviously game shape and play. I will not start him tomorrow. This is a phenomenal league. We got a great opponent in Rutgers, and there's an integration process that will take place and be fair to everybody involved in that process. So it's obviously still a very serious situation. I'm not going to talk about the emotion of Terrence or anybody else. I'm going to say that it's basketball 101. It's back to basketball, helping this team continue to move and strive forward, and that's where we're at with that. And tomorrow we've got a great Rutgers team who we've already played, and then we get to see a different team than what we saw the first time. Mag is back. He's one of the outstanding defenders in our league. He is a guy that impacts them. He's averaging 14, 15 a game in league play, shooting it. They have completely changed their lineup in terms of they're very big. With him in the lineup, taking Don Fernandez out, inserting Williams. We got 52% of our misses back in the first game. They haven't given up 26% since. 25 offensive rebounds against Nebraska the other night. And so, as always, Pike does an unbelievable job. This is one of the top defensive teams in the country. They are every year, and we expect to have to be better this Sunday than we were last Sunday. And that's our goal, is throughout all this, is to continue to get better every day, and we'll have to be good.
Okay, take a question.
Do you have an idea on how much you might play Terrence, or is that something you figure out during the game?
Yeah, it will be feel. We'll get a better idea today in practice of where just he's at. He did a tremendous amount of up and down and running yesterday, and and integrating that. But we've added some things offensively, getting him up to speed on some of those things. The challenge as basketball coach is, we've been in a pretty good. We've been in a nice flow offensively, we don't want to upset the apple cart, so to speak. And so finding that out, but understanding also, what his value is to our team. We all know that.
And so along those lines, what's been the conversations with you guys as a staff to obviously knowing what he's capable of doing on the basketball court, but kind of where you guys are offensively and blending those two ideas?
Yeah, it's we're not going to change much. I think the one thing we understood with Terrence earlier, we truly didn't run a lot to him. We didn't run a lot of action. His ability in the open court, his speed, his athleticism was very, very effective there. I've said it many times, he's maybe the elite perimeter defender in college basketball, or one of them. And that's a conditioning piece. So we'll have to play all that. But offensively, we'll continue to do a lot of what we're doing. Just with his speed, it allows us to play at a little different pace.
We know that Terrence was able to use the team facilities even while suspended. Do you know how often he was in there working out, or was he able to get a workout plan from you guys, or get rebounders or stuff like that during the suspension?
Yeah, he was able to use managers. He was able to use Fletch. Terrence was in here a lot, and we didn't have a set schedule with him. Fletch did in terms of the weight room, which he was allowed to do, but there were no team activities with our group, whether it be film, whether it be anything else. So, but I would say every day was multiple workouts, and we all know that he likes the early morning workouts, but he was present in the building every day.
What did you notice from the team yesterday when Terrence goes back on the practice court? Obviously, I'm sure the possibility of whether or not he'd be back this year is weighing on the minds of the players. What did you notice of those guys?
Yeah, I think Derek, we've handled it every day. Since this came about, he's their teammate. Obviously, they know his value. I think it would be that way with anybody. This is a really connected team. This is a really close team. I think it's not just specific to him in this situation. I think with anybody who's, but he's they know he's a valuable piece of this team, and I think they were excited for their teammate.
You've had other guys, Coleman, Marcus, really step into much larger roles over the course of the last 3 weeks. What does that kind of tell you? I guess maybe the potential of your team change, having seen those guys elevate, and now you add someone who's on an All-American path?
We were starting to see that. FAU game goes back to I thought at Tennessee. We were really starting to for lack of a better term, blossom in terms of where this team was going offensively. I think that we've continued to accelerate that. I think that being a top 10 team offensively and eliminating some of the turnovers and continue to do that. But we were doing that at the really the start of our change was still had him with us at that time, and now that's my job, is to keep integrating that, and he's been gone 3 weeks and 6 games, and we're 4-2, and the connectivity of this team's never been better, and we'll just continue to grow that.
You mentioned offensively, that you're in a good place. So what does this maybe do for the team defense? Because in the last 6 games, the offense, just in that stretch, top 2 defense, not quite as high.
Yeah. Yeah, there's as I said earlier, he's one of the elite defenders. He's 6'6", he's 220 pounds, and he's a very, very gifted athlete. And on the ball, he's been shown to be elite at that. And you add that piece back, and that helps us. There's no doubt about that. It helps us. We've been able to grow some depth around that as well, and so you're just talking about an elite player on that end of the court.
Brad, have you been happy with what you've heard from Fletch or gotten reports from Fletch on his ability to handle normal workload, or how does that look for him right now? It's not an injury; it's just he's been out for 3 weeks.
I'll have a much better feel today. I was impressed yesterday, and again, we went an hour because of the, certain guys didn't logged heavy minutes at Michigan, and it was wasn't the most intense practice today. Will be. I'll have a much better feel for that. But everything Fletch has said, and Terrence has always been an extremely hard worker, and but there's also no conditioning like game shape, and having to play with adrenaline and the feel of that. So there'll be some. It's just human nature. There's going to be you don't miss 3 weeks and not have some effects. So we'll monitor that, and we'll have a better idea of what all that looks like today.
Coach, I know that the suspension was lifted. When the decision came down yesterday, was there a discussion with Josh Whippen and the brain trust on whether you're obligated to play Terrence?
Yeah, of course, say that. Yeah, and there's when Josh informed me what the court's decision was, and obviously that reinstates him to our program, and as a basketball coach, he's a really good player, and he's been a part of our team, and we're going to reinstate him. And there's pretty simple.
Brad, you don't go on the road until Wednesday, but as his coach, has there been conversations about how do we protect him when he goes on the road, on and off the court?
Not yet, but there will be. This is a pretty rapid. Yesterday, 4 o'clock, and Rutgers, and Rutgers some more, and reinstating him. But we'll have those in due time.
Coach, what are some of the challenges and uniqueness when you start going back through the conference schedule, a second time?
We played them early. I think they were finding themselves, and I think they found themselves. And again, they had their best player, in my opinion, or one of their best players. He was an all-league defender last year that had an ACL, and he came back. And he's playing at a really high level. So, Pike's teams are always tough, they're physical, but they have made changes. And they've made changes in their lineup, they've made changes in their personnel. They're physically very, very big. Moving Williams in the lineup at 6'4", and Mag in the lineup. They moved Woolfolk out, and in essence, they're playing 4 guards. But they're long, they're athletic. Their style hasn't changed as much, but just their personnel, and they've grown together. They're playing well together.
Brad, is there some sense of relief that you at least just got an answer yesterday, and it's not just something that's going to cloud over the team, whether he's going to be back or not in Terrence?
Well, let's understand it's still a really serious situation for Terrence, and I day to day, I worry about the guys that I have to coach. The basketball coach here, and yesterday, Terrence joined our team again, and I've literally just tried to figure out how to keep moving the needle forward. Like I said, I love this team, I love this group, and the court's decided that for us, and it's still a very serious situation to be dealt with, and we're sensitive to all that. But
I know this becomes like a copycat league on the floor, but if there's a point in which somebody doesn't put a big on Ty Rogers, are you prepared offensively for that, or do you have to go back to figuring out how to handle that?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's.
About a month now.
Yeah, I think that, everybody's throwing bigs on Ty, and he's had a couple career highs, and Ty's so fast and in the open court that it causes problems. He's proven he's shooting a great percentage. He's getting fouled. His assist numbers are great. His turnover rate is really, really low. I just kind of look at it, anytime we can get somebody to do something that maybe they don't practice every day, that they're having to scheme for us for, okay. But if they do play more traditional, we'll be fine.
Brad, obviously Terrence's situation would be hard to ignore, especially for the teammates who went over to the hearing last week. How do you feel like they handled that while the uncertainty was there, and how do you feel like they'll handle all the outside noise that comes with him being back?
Well, I think he's their teammate, so I think they're supportive of him. There's no doubt. But I think that the everyday approach is the only way we can take it. You hear me say all the time, it's keep it simple, keep it day to day, keep it, and we'll handle situations. This group has been extremely focused on the job at hand, and whether it was with Terrence gone in those 6 games, whether it's been without Amani, whether it was without Coleman early, this team has handled situations minus a teammate and kept it very, 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 very true to the basketball form. That's my job, and I take that very seriously, and we'll continue to just handle things that way as it comes up with road games and every other situation.
Coach, Coleman Hawkins coming off a great game, obviously, but really a great stretch of basketball from him. Can you just comment on the season he's having, and has he turned a corner, just from a mental standpoint this season?
I think so. I think it's the game's simplified for Coleman. I think he's having fun playing basketball. I think he's having success because he's having fun. I think he's confident. I think he's very comfortable in the simplification of a role that we've had for him. I think he's always been, in my opinion, special on the defensive end, and now we're just kind of seeing all of that come together with what he's doing on the other side. But he's, I think he's really enjoying practice. I think he's really enjoying the putting in the time and the work, and all of that's paying off for him. And again, it's been a great process that I wish all student athletes could see, because he's gone from kind of a cheerleader as a freshman to now becoming a truly one of the unique guys. And that performance the other night was fantastic against Michigan. I mean, we're obviously one of the worst teams in the country in forcing steals, and he may have had as many steals in one game as we had all season. So, but he was special.
As a follow-up on that, did getting through the tendonitis, that sort of unlock things for him, or was there a mental shift too for him?
Well, I think when you feel good, you're where you feel discomfort, there's always a little mental anguish, maybe that it's not as fun, it hurts, it's having to play through something, and it's not that problem is gone full time. I mean, he's having to really continue to work very hard at that, and I'm sure that's part of it. I think just being a vet, I think the roles that we have him in have simplified things on the offensive side, and then again, I think it all just comes together, and it's fun to see him smiling on the court and having fun.
Health question, with Armani and his back deal, and also has the cold and flu season made it through your locker room yet?
I hope it's through. Yeah,
Hit the head coach too.
yeah. It has been trying. I thought the other night was the healthiest we've been. Amani's closer. He's in a not full-fledged practices yet, but is gaining on that. So I hope even possibly today or maybe early next week that we have him available in practice.
This will be our last one here in the back.
Obviously, emotions will be high in the State Farm Center tomorrow, but you've got a team that's a hard-nosed defensive team that's kind of in do-or-die mode. How do you kind of avoid what people would call maybe a trap game tomorrow?
I don't think there's any trap games in the Big Ten. I think this league's brutal. I think they're all, if you don't play, you lose. And there's nothing trap about it. Steve Pikel's one of the great coaches in the country. His teams are always, you identify what his team is and what the game's going to be in scout and preparation. And you better go out and strap it up. And whatever the emotions are, we have to execute. We have to play hard. We have to be dialed in as a group and be a heck of a lot better this Sunday than we were last Sunday.